I almost died in an ER because a nurse hated addicts, and I was an undercover cop. When I collapsed against the supply closet door, my own partner didn't even recognize me through the blood and street crime. I'd been under for so long that I barely recognized myself either. A week earlier, I'd been pulled out of a raid on the East Side Pill Corridor with a bullet lodged under my ribs. I'd staggered into the tiny regional hospital with my younger brother Kale, half carrying me. I looked like someone who'd crawled out of an alley. Track marks drawn on from my cover still stained my skin. My jacket smelled like the abandoned motel I'd been living in. The triage nurse, Marla Kinton, took one look at me and instantly labeled me another useless junkie. She didn't bother checking my wound. She didn't ask a single question. She just jabbed a finger toward a row of plastic chairs near the vending machines and told Kale we'd be seen when they had time for overdose cases. He tried telling her I'd been shot, but she brushed him off and pulled on her gloves like touching us had cursed her. He kept pleading. She kept dismissing him. I could barely stay upright. Every second felt like my lungs were draining out through the hole in my side. But Marla just kept lecturing him about enabling addicts and how I'd chosen this path. She told him to save his tears for rehab intake instead of making a scene. When I tried to speak, nothing came out but a wet gasp. That's when she smirked. She said she'd heard every desperate story from people like me, and I wasn't fooling anyone. Kale lowered me into a chair and pressed his hands against my wound. I felt the warmth of my own blood through his fingers. My head spun. My body shook. I'd spent almost 4 years undercover as the thing I hunted, and now I was going to die because I'd done the job too well. The moment Kale ran to find another nurse, Marla moved in. She kicked my chair deeper into the corner, like pushing me out of sight fixed the inconvenience of me. She said I smelled like a dumpster behind a pharmacy. She grabbed a canister of industrial air spray and blasted it at my face. The chemical burn made my eyes water and throat close. She told a passing orderly to mop the floor around me later because people like me tracked in diseases. My wallet had fallen when she shoved the chair. She picked it up with 2 fingers and tossed it onto my lap like tossing away something contagious. She muttered that it was probably stolen. Then she noticed the bulge in my jacket. Instead of checking what it was, she grabbed my arm and dug her thumb into the fake track marks I'd drawn on hours before. Hard. She said she wanted to check how fried my nerves were. She called another nurse over, bragging about a perfect teaching example. Blood was dripping into my shoe. I could taste metal on my tongue. I could barely see. She forced me to stand and walk to the scale. I collapsed twice, and she didn't touch me. She announced my weight to the room like a punchline, blaming every pound on addiction decay. Then, she wrapped a pressure cuff around my ribs, directly over the bullet wound. The moment she pumped it, pain tore through me so violently I almost stopped breathing. She kept squeezing, accusing me of being dramatic. My body started convulsing from blood loss. Marla stepped back and diagnosed me with withdrawal. She said some sedatives would shut me up. When Kale sprinted back and begged her to help, she rolled her eyes and called for security. 2 guards grabbed him like he was the problem. I pushed myself up, trying to get to him, but my legs buckled. I crashed face first onto the tile. My jacket ripped open, and everything I'd kept hidden spilled across the floor. A badge, a metallic clatter loud enough to freeze the room. My undercover ID slid out next to it. The guards let go of Kale. Every nurse went silent. Marla stared at the words she'd ignored all night. Detective, Narcotics Bureau, Undercover Operations. I whispered that I'd been under for almost 4 years before everything went dark. When I woke up 3 days later, Kale was asleep in the chair beside me. The hospital board had already watched the footage. Staff had already come forward. Marla's license was gone. 27 years of experience erased because she couldn't see a dying man under the disguise. The hospital settled. Mandatory training rolled out. Marla tried to apologize once outside the courthouse. I didn't stop walking.